What is happening, people? It's Tottenham versus Manchester United this weekend, the first game of the weekend. I guess it could go both ways. Could make it a great weekend, start off the right way, or totally ruin the weekend from a football point of view. But for this combined 11 video, it should be interesting between two top six clubs. I'm joined by Ella. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for asking. I
Good.
really do appreciate you giving me your time. Would you like to tell people a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a third year football journalism student at the University of Derby. I've basically spent the last couple years trying to get as much experience as I can in all different areas of football journalism, working for some clubs and some websites and a bit of everything really. So yeah, I'm the Manchester United editor for Vavel as well. So I've been doing a lot of United writing for them and a United season ticket holder and fan my whole life, pretty much.
Oh, great stuff. Really appreciate, as I said, your time. Thank you very much. Should be a good one today. If you're listening via audio, please drop us a follow and a 5-star review. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. So let's get straight into it. If you're new to these kind of series that we've been doing now for 3 or 4 weeks on the channel, combined 11 videos. So, we both give two lineups and we do it, considering injuries and then with all players, even if they are injured. So we'll start off, Ella, with you. I'm going to go through your team, which is just based on players that are currently fit. So it does, it bears in mind those injured players by not including them, if that makes sense. Would you like to read out your team and then talk through it?
Yep, so I've gone with Lamens in goal and a back three of Lenny Yoro, Romero and Van de Ven. And then Ahmad as a wing back, and then Polina, Bruno and Jed Spence as left wing back. And then a front three of Mbumo, Cunha and Kudus. So I started with Lamens in goal, which feels probably a little bit controversial. I know we've not seen a great deal of him yet, but everything we have seen, I think, has been really positive. I think he's made a really great first impression. I think he's young, he's confident, he commands his box really well, got some good shot stopping, and distribution wise, he's not made any mistakes yet. He's just quite no nonsense, I'd say, so far. Maybe a little bit biased in picking him, but I think having seen Andre Onana in goal for the last however many years, I think just seeing someone half decent between the sticks is very, very refreshing. So yeah, that's why I've gone with him. Probably a bit harsh on Vicario, but I don't think there's much in it based on what I've seen from Lammen so far. And then Lenny Yoro on the right side of the back three. I think when he came in, he quickly became quite an important player when he came over from Lille. I think he's a player with world-class potential, definitely. I think he has all the attributes to go on and become one of the best defenders in the league, or maybe even the world. I think 1v1 is excellent. He's capable of carrying the ball forward. I think the role on the right side of the back three suits him perfectly, pretty much. And yeah, I think he's only going to keep getting better. He's 19 years old, so to be performing at the levels that he is and showing the maturity that he is, I think is really impressive. He's not necessarily started every game for us this season, which has surprised me a little bit. I think last season especially, he was one of our best players, but when he has played again, I think he's been quite solid, so throwing him in there. And then Romero and Van de Ven, we know how good they are. Like Romero, I think, would be the central one who'd be the aggressor, the one to go and win all the duels, front-footed defender, and then obviously Van de Ven's one of the most informed defenders in the league. He's been brilliant. Obviously, that goal against Copenhagen was ridiculous. I think you've probably all watched it multiple times. So good. Yeah, it seems like he's popping up with a goal quite regularly at the minute as well. But yeah, just 1v1, excellent. The pace to make those recovery runs as well. And it's quite a quick back three, but I think they're all solid defensively, but also good on the ball. I think they'd blend quite well as a three. And then, so Ahmad is wing back. And it's probably not his best position. Maybe you'd want him a bit higher up the pitch. It's a bit of a dilemma at the minute. Is it getting the best out of him? But I think he does okay there. I think he still manages to showcase his attacking flair and his abilities, but he also tracks back and does a decent job defensively. Even though you don't necessarily want him on those situations, like I think Amram said after Forest, like defending in the box, like he's not going to win headers. Like you don't want him as deep as he's had to be at times sometimes, but he's linked up really well with Mbumo down the right, and just he has that moment of magic in him that I think is always going to scare defences, really. And then, Portuguese midfield. I think Palinha would be the defensive anchor in that, and he'd sit there and do all the dirty work, I'd say. Obviously good on the ball as well and could feed in the attacking players. And then Bruno, I think, speaks for himself, really. I think he's got his goals and assists since he joined are just ridiculous. I think he hit 300 appearances the other day. Probably our most important player, I would say. Just in terms of his creative abilities and also just leadership as well. He's so important to this team. And then I've gone for Spence on left wing back because there weren't really any other options that massively stood out. I think Dallo's been playing there for us a lot. He gets a lot of stick from the fan base, but I don't. Yeah, some of it's partly deserved. He's not been great. He tries his best and he gives it his all, but I think there's better options we could look at. So I've gone with Spence. He has the ability to get up and down, attacking threat, but also sound defensively. And I've thought about Luke Shaw, but again, has he got the legs to get up and down? And Dorgy was an option, but he's still very raw and growing, developing talent. So I've shoved Spence in there over a Doggy as well. And then to finish off the front three, Mbumo just named Player of the Month today for October in the Premier League, so he's flying at the minute. I think he got 3 goals, 1 assist in October. It's been excellent, just direct, clinical, down the right, linked up really well with Ahmad. I've not put a traditional number 9 in because none of them massively stood out to me. I like Sesko, but I can't say he's done enough to warrant a place yet. And with Richarlison, Kolo Muani, similar, I didn't particularly want to throw them in. I think with that front 5 there, I think you've still got enough goals. I think if you have Cunha dropping in deep, linking up play, intelligent movement, I think he could definitely be enough goals in that team without a traditional number 9. And then Kudus has been brilliant as well. I've really been impressed by him since he came from West Ham and last season as well. I think he's got 5 assists in 10 Premier League games this season. So he's brilliant creative force. And I think that front three would be really nice to watch.
Thank you, Ella. That's a really good team, and I thank you for explaining it as well. And I was going to, let's say push you back, but ask you a few things about your team. But you've answered most of them really, and you're thinking behind it, which is great. Making my job so much easier. The only one thing I would say is I've been impressed as an outsider with Casemiro and how he's been performing this year. I mean, that midfield's great, isn't it? Paulinho and Fernandes. But how close was Casemiro to being considered or getting in there?
Yeah, very close. It was Palinha or him, and I just went for the one with slightly more legs, a bit younger. I think Casemiro he's been really good this season, to be fair. There was a point about a year ago where it seemed like he was dropping off and he was going to struggle to get in the team, but he's responded really well and he's been really good this season, in fairness. So it was a tough call.
Okay. And lastly, away from this team a little bit, I mean, going to Manchester United, in general, do you think like Bruno Fernandes, of course, is a fantastic player, but do you think you could get more out of him if you put him a little bit further up the pitch? I always look at him and find him really deep. And don't get me wrong, he's still effective and he's great there, but I see Fernandes as kind of more of a 10 and a little bit more defensive. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
I think if he were playing a 4-3-3, I think him as that like number 10, just in front of 2 midfielders sitting behind him, is the ideal. But I think in the 4-3-3, I do think he's better there because what play dropping from the front 3, I don't think there's anyone that he's going to play over there, and I don't think he can get involved as much when he's a bit more advanced in the 4-3-3. I think to have him playing in the build-up as well is really useful, but then I get that you want him in and around the box maybe more than he is. So it's difficult. It's a difficult one.
Yeah, definitely. Good headaches, to have as managers, in this case, Ruben Amorim. Thank you, Ella, for going through your team. So here's mine then, with players that are just fit. So gone with a different formation, which does spice things up. We've gone with a 4-2-3-1, which, is more naturally suited to Spurs. Ella goes with the formation that maybe Amorim uses a little bit more. So, of course, that's changes things up a bit. So read out my team, then explain it. So Vicario in goal, gone with the back line of Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Dallo. And midfield Paulinho, Casemiro. Then I've gone with Mbamo, Fernandes, Kudus, and Cunha. So thinking behind it, I echo your thoughts of the goalkeeper. For me, it was a 50-50, and I think I changed it a good couple of times, if I'm totally honest with you. And if this had been it's not fair on Selemons, but if it's a few games further along, I'll probably go, he's had a good few games to establish himself, but I'm basing it on it's just early days, and just give Corey the nod because of his form this season, but I found that difficult. I'll go with Romero and Van der Ven. I think they've been a really good partnership. I think Romero's taken the captain's armband very well and stepped up to the table. And just in coming back against Copenhagen to start, we just missed that progressive passes, that leadership, and everything that he does bring. You're right in terms of the aggressor. He's a lot more of a sensible aggressor than he used to be when he first joined the club, if I'm honest. So even like Chelsea, come on off the bench because he come back from injury and he just made a difference. That fight, that grit, that little bit of quality on the ball. And Van der Ven, as you said, this year stepped up another level. Tottenham's top scorer, actually, in every single competition. I think it tells you all you need to know. Maybe in terms of the attack isn't firing, I think yes, but also that he stepped up to the table. Dallo left back. I mean, that's interesting because, of course, putting a United player in, that's a bit you're probably going to disagree with. But that's, purely the fact I don't watch United every week like you will do. So I absolutely take your word on this one. Whenever I see him play, I just see him as this really hard worker, gives 100%. I mean, I do get the impression, though, as you say, that he isn't, oh my God, look at this player with great quality. I just purely like his little bit of grit, get stuck in. I like that he's very versatile. I think you could put him at centre back, you could put him at right back where he usually plays, also put him now at left back, and he does a really good job. So that's why I've gone with him. I didn't want a whole Spurs back line, including the goalkeeper, so I was like, right, here I'm going to put in here. And I thought that Dallo maybe has a little bit more versatility than Shaw does. But midfield, then I've gone with like a 2, then a 1 in Fernandes, purely because it'd be interesting to see him come further forward. But you make a good point about being involved in the build-up. So could he drop deep in this kind of formation? Well, for me, having Paulinho and Casemiro next to each other was quite key. Again, I'm basing it both on their season so far. I think Casemiro's really impressed me. A lot of people going, you should retire. Don't let the football leave you before it, leaves you, all that kind of thing. That we saw that kind of discussion that was, a little bit nasty at times towards Casemiro. I think he's dealt with that well and he's really kicked on this year. And he's just done well going forward as well. And it's not really something you resonate with Casemiro. So Paulinho's really impressed me as well. Don't agree with Jamie Carragher that he's not got the quality for Tottenham. I think it makes points in terms of Tottenham's midfield's a problem with the balance because we have 2 number 6s and then a number 10. I don't see how that really works. It doesn't, if I'm honest with you. It's a big gap in between. So Carragher was right, but to say that he hasn't got the quality, in particular Paulinho, was harsh, in my opinion. Fernandes, I mean, he's one of literally like probably only a couple, probably the only one really where I don't think you need to justify why he's in there. As you said, goals and assists. You only got to watch United for a split second to realise, that even when United really struggle and have in the past, he's the one that will, turn a difficult situation into a really good one. 0 points into 3 all of a sudden. So yeah, great player. Brahma Burma as well. I just saw him as a no-brainer. It's difficult because Kudus has been very good on the right. We'll get on to in a minute, but did find a way to squeeze him into. But yeah, Mbama, I didn't know. I didn't see today. I saw the manager of the month was Ruben Amorim. So I did see that. It's like interesting to hear that player of the month is also Brahma Burma. I mean, I think that's totally deserved. He's been very good. And what a player at Brentford as well. If, Amorim can get anything out like Thomas Frank did at Brentford, I think, special player. So I like what I've seen so far. Plays an interesting role as well, like almost sometimes as a forward too. Then I've got with Kudus on the left. I don't think he's great there for West Ham, but at the same time, I think you only got to look at West Ham and realise you haven't got, no disrespect, but the greatest quality around you. And although I don't think you have much better going forward at Tottenham, I think you have maybe better midfielders, defenders to hopefully supply you. So again, this is a bit of a squeeze in the team, and I've gone with Cunha up top as well. So 2 players that are noticeable in Kudus and Cunha. They're out of position, but you've got to get the best players in and find a way to squeeze them in. And Cunha up top, I think, could do a job. Again, I do probably see him as more of a 10. There's quite a few in this team that can play as a 10, but you can really ideally play 1, maybe 2. So that is my team. Ella, anything you disagree with or you want to raise?
You mentioned Dallo, but that'd be the one that's sticking out to
Yeah.
me. I totally take your point. He's definitely a hard worker. He's a trier, but just the quality just sometimes isn't there. Like, he's not quite up to the standard. I'd say Luke Shaw. I know he's not ironically not made it into mine, but I think he's probably England's best left back still. I would say. I'll come on to that more in a minute. I think it's in my other 11, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's a different formation, but if you break down the personnel and like how many Tottenham United players we've got, it is still quite similar. So thank you. But now go on to your team, which now does include those injured players, and you switch back, interestingly, to a 4-3-3 formation. So if you'd like to read it out, talk us through it, and also the formation, I'm interested in why you've changed.
Okay, so yeah, 4-3-3 for this one. Start with Lamens in goal, then Porro, Romero, Martinez, and Luke Shaw as the back four, and then I'd have probably Polina sitting a bit deeper than Bruno and Maddison, with Mburmo, Cunha, and Kudus up top. So yeah, I'd stick with Lamens for the same reasons we mentioned. Pedro Porro at right back, I think playing a back four, he's the best option. I think the only United player I'd potentially throw in the mix is Snus Mazraoui, who we've not even mentioned yet, but last season he was probably our best player. He was really reliable last season. But again, he struggled to make it into our team this year because I think partly because the formation doesn't necessarily suit him the best. I think he'd probably have to play right of a back three in our team, but he's probably more of a right back, so would suit him better. But just based on he's not really played this season, I've gone with Porro. I think attacking fullback, can get up and down, deliver dangerous balls into the box, but he's got better defensively as well, I'd say. So yeah, I've stuck him in there. Romero, Martinez, so World Cup winning centre back pairing. I think they've played together for Argentina, obviously lots. Successful partnership, and I think they have. I don't think many strikers are getting through them. Like, it's just solid. Like, so Romero I've spoken about already, but Martinez is nicknamed the Butcher for a reason. Like, there's no one getting. He's so tenacious. And yeah, 1v1, you struggle to beat him. I know people speak about his height as an issue, but he still manages to somehow win headers and be really solid at the back. And yeah, I think he's great, especially when he came in. He made such a big impact. Probably one of the only successful Ten Hag signings that he made. So yeah, he would be really looking forward to seeing him back on the pitch soon. Hopefully, I'm not sure if he'll be available for Sunday, but we'll see. And then Luke Shaw, left back. I really like Luke Shaw. Again, another player who injuries have really not helped recently. Last season he barely played at all, but he has come back in this season, and so far, touchwood, managed to stay fit. And he's done well, I think, as left side of a back three, but I like him equally in a back four, probably more in a back four on that left side because he can get forward a bit more. I think going forward he is better than some people probably think. I think his crossing into the box is really good. He gets himself in good positions, links up with the wingers really well when he plays in a back four, but also equally can play that left side of the centre back pairing as well if you need him to. So yeah, I would say England's best left back at current. I think he probably should have been in the England squad today, but left out. I'd have him over Dorgu again. I'd have him over Doggy, Spence. So yeah, I've thrown him in there. Casemiro's missed out again in my midfield, which does feel harsh, but we've gone Polina again, with him probably sitting the deeper, breaking the play up, with Bruno and Maddison in front, just creating and getting the ball, playing it forward to the front three and making runs into the box as well. I think Maddison is definitely, I'd say, probably your best creative force from what I've seen, or one of them definitely. Really exciting player that I enjoy watching. Will be good to see him back in the Premier League and for England as well. I'm excited to watch him. And then, yeah, I've stuck with the same front three as the other 11. I think having both Bruno and Maddison behind them to play them in would be brilliant. I think so many goals in that 11. So many goals.
That's really good. I like this team. It's interesting. I think you justify the back line very well. Of course, probably harsh on Van der Ven, but Martinez is great. And as you said, World Cup winning centre back partnership, that's not bad. You can't really argue with that when you put it that way. The only thing I would say as a Spurs fan is James Maddison, I like. And I think when he's on form, on point, if you like, to reference the darts, I think that he's amazing. But is he consistent enough for my liking? Probably not. So the only thing I would say, Kulusevski, I mean, is a player that I think is easily forgotten about because of how long he's been out injured. But when he's fit, do you reckon he gets close to being this team? Maybe instead of Maddison?
Yeah, he's close. I'd say he's definitely close. I do like Kulusevski. But yeah, I think it was a tight one there. Just missed out.
Okay. Thank you. Then on to my team. I must admit, this is a little bit different. I did go a bit creative with this one, and it probably doesn't add up in what I call a real world. But it's a 3-5-2 formation. So I'll talk you through it firstly. Well, read it out, then talk you through it. Vicario in goal. Backline of Romero, Martinez, and Van der Ven. Then in midfield, so right fullback, Kulusevski, hear me out. Left fullback, Dallo. Then Fernandez, Paulinho, and Kudus in midfield with Mbamo and Cunha up top. The more I look at this, I think it just doesn't work. But it's a case of me trying to squeeze in as many players as possible. And I've still, couldn't quite fit Pedro Porro in, which is, I think, for him a shame. And I agree with your reason. Probably, if we talk about a combined 11, I think he should be in there. But I couldn't find a way of putting him in there, but also having some of these midfielders I wanted. So I'll talk you through the changes that I've made that I noticed anyway. So Martinez in the central of defence, I think he's very good. And I don't know about you, I was first worried when he come to the Premier League, Ella, that I looked at him and thought, with your height, and I thought, I'm not going to judge you instantly, but how are you going to win headers? But it always impresses me, like, how many headers he wins. Is that something that stands out to you, considering his height?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how he manages it, but he still manages to win every battle somehow. I don't know how, but
I just love the Argentinian aggression and, like, I don't know, just the love ultimately for the game, I suppose. Romero has the same as well. They just bleed their country, don't they? Give everything for the game. So I like that. So that back three, well, I think, that back three for me did pick itself. Vicario, again, same as before, was a really tough decision. But here's where it gets interesting in midfield. Dallo, I've kept from before, though it was harder to keep him, if I'm honest with you, in this one. I went with, well, for me, it was a priority to have Fernandez and Kudus in. I think they're two great attacking players, and Paulinho as well, and had them all, as you know, in the previous team. So I was like, right, I've got to keep them in. But I wanted to add Kulusevski. This is why I changed the formation. And the way I've worked it is have Kulusevski as like a right kind of, right fullback, right wing back, and he recognises a lot better going forward, and he isn't the quickest getting back, but I reckon he could use a little bit of physicality. I think he's a really clever and tricky player. I think if you have Paulinho sitting in front of that defence, it should be enough, and if it's not enough, then you have Fernandez drop a little bit deeper. Then up top, I've kept Mbamo and Cunha. So the only changes, I think, are Martinez coming in for Manchester United and Kulusevski coming in for Tottenham. So, it's a bit funky. It's a little bit different. It feels harsh on a couple of players, one being Pedro Porro. But, Ella, anything you want to say about my team? Maybe you disagree with, you agree with, or anything you want to raise? Anything you want to bring up?
So Kulusevski, do you think Ahmad comes close there?
Very, very close. Yes, absolutely. For me, it was between three players on that right. It was Kulusevski, Ahmad, and Porro, and they're like completely all of them really different positions.
Yeah.
So it was super tough. And if I'm honest with you, I had Mbamo at one point in at least three, if not four, different positions, trying to find it right. Okay, because I knew that I wanted to play this formation with lots of midfielders, but at the same time, two strikers is difficult for Tottenham and Man United at the moment, where injuries and form, etc., combined between both clubs is difficult. But it becomes really, really close. Again, on reflection, could have had Ahmed instead of Dallo and try and make it work. Maybe.
Maybe it's a tough
Maybe.
one. I think
Anything.
Also, someone I've not mentioned that I probably should have is I think Delight's been excellent this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've not included him myself in either of them, but he's really. I think last season he did well, but this season he's really gone up another level, and he's been absolutely excellent. So I've not managed to squeeze him in because both teams have such a strong spread of centre backs, really. But I think he's been really good and very unlucky to miss out on both our teams.
Yeah, 100%. So that is my team, and to kind of finish on that, I agree with you that defenders are really strong, but I think both clubs are similar in terms of, now both got a decent goalkeeper. I'd use the word decent, and it got really good kind of back line, and not just back line, but options, in particular at centre back more than full back, but midfield as well, both healthy looking in midfield and everything's kind of jazzy there. But then where it falls a little bit is at the moment, anyway, as a striker and wingers. Man United have improved on this side. Spurs not so much. We brought in Kudus, but that's about it. Whereas you've gone, Mbamo, Cunha look a lot stronger. But if I'm honest with you, with Diallo, if it was last season, he would have got in there. And I think I did do a combined 11 between the two for myself last year. And I think he was in there. But maybe I like him still this year, but he's come back from injury, I think. And it's always going to take a long while, isn't it, to get up to the standard that you once were at. And I think he's a lot better going forward. So that was my only thinking behind that. But away from combined 11, Ella, and on to the game this weekend, which is the first, as I said earlier, of the weekend. How do you feel about it?
I think it could go either way, definitely. Tough one to predict, I'd say. I think we're definitely on the up, so I will be feeling optimistic, but also you guys coming off the back of a good win the other night as well. So, yeah, hard one to predict.
Should be difficult. Are you still 100% behind Amorim, regardless of the result? Of course, it looks like you have turned a corner.
Yeah, fully back Amorim. I think always have. I know there were tough times last season, but you have to give managers a chance. You're never going to get anywhere if it's a constant cycle of new managers coming in and out. So yeah, I like him. I like maybe the formation is what everyone's spoken about as something that maybe doesn't get the best out of our players, but I think it's now starting to gel a little bit, and nobody's talking about the formation now. He's just been given the Manager of the Month award, are they? And won 3 games in the last month. So yeah, I think it's starting to click a bit now.
Yeah, absolutely, which is good to see, by the way, and I think totally deserved that Manager of the Month, as is as well the Player of the Month from Mbamo. But to finish, can I get your score prediction and scorers, if you think there are going to be any for this weekend?
I'll go 2-1 United, and I'll say Mbeumo, Fernandes, and Kudus.
Good scorers. I think that's realistic. See, for me, I'm caught in two minds. I've got it is a tough one because, like, my heart kind of says, okay, 2-1 Spurs win, going into the international break after a better week. We didn't get the results we wanted. Newcastle, Chelsea, that was a tough week. Then a good, better week, Copenhagen to win, and then after this. But if I'm being totally honest with you, I lean towards probably a 1-1. It's just one of those, isn't it, where you go, a win for both teams is, of course, it's not like, oh my God, monumental, but it's quite a big thing. For Tottenham at home record to win twice in a week at home after only winning once all season at home, and for United as well to be unbeaten. Would it be 4-5 games? I think that's really, really impressive. So no, we'll have to see. So yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll commit to a 1-1. I think. What do I think? Cunha for United, and I think Simmons for Tottenham. But I'm hoping, like, Mohamed Kudus is fixed. He's not 100%. He got a knock. He said himself he should be okay, but it's not a definite yet.
Yeah, so. I was going to ask. I need to know from FPL team.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, I need to catch up today on Frank's press conference, but which is interesting. You never really get a player answer themselves if they're going to be injured or not. Kudus says I should be okay. That is the plan. So take that what you like. But I think he will start. But he's not a definite. But I've got him in my team. But I've got, I think, Ndai for Everton lined up to come in if Kudus doesn't start. But I still think even if he's on the bench and comes on, he makes an impact, if you know what I mean. So I have to see what happens there. But Ndai's a doubt as well. I didn't know about that, but I read he's got a yellow little triangle next to him. So not very good. How are you doing, though, in terms of FPL? I'm not great at it at all.
I had a good start, and it's kind of gone downhill a bit.
Has it?
I need to do my transfers still for this week. I'm looking and I'm thinking a lot of my players have hard games this week. I don't know where to move. Need to have a look.
I've made one transfer. This will surprise you when I say his name, but it's Strand Larsen. I've kept in my team for an awfully long time because I made a mistake in my draft team. I made a few mistakes, like going with a couple of West Ham defenders in Wan-Bissaka and Walker Peters, because I just thought, right, cheap, they're versatile, they could go something going forward. That was just a complete disaster, and so was Strand Larsen. I was just like, he just a player that I really liked last year as well, and I had in my head, Wolves could push on. Well, I'd done that, believe it or not, before you got all these summer transfers, and they went just completely backwards, and as you know, really struggling. But I was patient, and actually, it did get a return for me, I think, a couple of weeks ago. So it did reward me to some extent. But I brought him out now, and I brought Ego Thiago in of Brentford because I don't know. I gave him a few weeks. I like him. I think Brentford's runs okay beyond Newcastle, so that's my thinking. But I'm sure you're above me in
Yeah.
overall. I probably should have. That's a guarantee. But Ella, thank you very much for joining me today for the combined 11 video Tottenham against Man United. Would you like to tell people again where they can find you across social media? Remind them as well what great work you do.
Yeah, so I'm Ella Barber _ on X. You can give me a follow on there, and it's ellabarber.journalism on Instagram. So yeah, mainly Man United content on those, but a bit of other stuff that I do for uni as well.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for coming on. If people are listening, no, anytime. Welcome back. Thank you. Get you on again for sure. Thank you. If you're listening via audio, please do drop us a follow and a 5-star review. If you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the combined 11 videos as well in general. But you know who I am. I'm Harry Scarfe. As always, follow me at Harry Scarfe 22. But thank you very much as always for the continued support and hope you enjoyed this game. And apologies, Ella, but come on, you Spurs.